Football's a ruthless industry. There's not many second chances. We all love football, but you kind of have to have that mindset if you want to make it.
What are the negatives of being a professional that people don't really think about?
If you have a bad game or going through a bad patch, I feel like you can see how it really affects everyone around you because they want you to do well. You're getting criticism and advice from everyone and people who don't know football.
How do you deal with that?
I think you just got to put it to one side. I know whose opinions matter to me. And those opinions I'll listen to. Everyone else's, just take it with a pinch of salt and kind of move on.
What does push for it mean? Because there might be a lot of people that are like, I'm pushing for it. What do you mean?
Reaching out to any people you know who could help you. Having the uncomfortable conversations. Like conversations you don't really want to have, but you know in the long run could help you. Football's a subjective game. Like I'm saying all of this, but I still went to university. I still got my degree, so I still had my backup option. So I don't think you should be completely delusional and not prepare for if things don't work out, because I did that. I still backed myself and I definitely did that. You've seen players go from high school to MLS and stuff like that, so it's not impossible. So you have to believe, but having backups is not like a cop-out.
Hello everyone and welcome to, I think today is going to be a legendary episode. The actual story of how I know Tola is actually mental, and I was just talking to him as he came in. The last time I saw Tola was, I think, like 4 years ago. We played together at New Hampshire. We also played together for a little bit in USL 2 in North Carolina. And Tola has got like a fascinating story. Like, actually, his trajectory from playing Division 2, Division 1, playing in England, going to the USL and coming to England, I don't think people really appreciate like the level that this guy has and is at right now, and like what he's kind of mentally had to go through for to get to where he is now. And I really respect like Tola and what he's done as a player and as a person. And I'm interested to like ask him some questions. We actually did a podcast like 3 years ago on Zoom, right? When you were in Pittsburgh.
First season.
And yeah, it's just mad and mental. Like we were playing together, and now like 4 years ago 4 years later in South London, I'm seeing you, I'm like, wow, that's mental.
Oh, that's
I remember
crazy.
just wrapping the ball into you, you take a touch, and I think you scored a lot of goals that season as well.
Yeah, little channel balls for you.
Yeah, man.
Quite a few assists as well.
Amazing. Well, listen, Tola, thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah, of course.
For someone that's listening to this podcast, why is your story interesting in football?
You know what, I would say maybe from like a outside perspective, it's interesting, but it's mainly like a self-belief kind of story that like every player is going to come from like different environments, different backgrounds, and mine's just a unique example, but it's a self-belief thing that like every player has to have.
Because I remember like when I first met you, and I obviously knew you were a good player, and we were playing in New Hampshire, we had a really good team, and I remember like you were one of the guys that was always like, I want to be a pro and I'm going to do everything it takes. And of course, like there's a lot of people in college who say that, but you can really tell like when you were speaking, like you really believed it. Did you always want to be a professional footballer, or was there a point where maybe like your mindset shifted?
I think like in the back of my mind, I always wanted to be a pro. You know, like growing up in school, the dream for most boys is to be a pro. But there was many stages where I thought this dream was impossible, but I still trained like I could do it, even when there was times in America, in England, where I thought it wasn't possible. I always like gave it my all, but I wouldn't say necessarily like I always thought I was going to be a pro.
Because you're from England, you grew up in England, you were never at a top academy.
No,
so
yeah.
what level were you playing at in England?
So I was playing mainly like Sunday league, but like good, like, so I was playing like county level, like, don't know if you know the EJA league, so it's got most of the teams in like national league in it now, I think. So I played for like Cheshunt, Bournemouth, who's national league now.
The youth academy team, or the first team?
Youth academy. So I was playing that level until like U17. In U17, the first team at Cheshunt needed a player to fill in for one game, and I did well there. So I went from U17 straight to men's football.
How was that?
So that was a huge jump for me. Like, I don't think I was ready for that jump. I think I obviously had talent and they could see something, but I don't think I was completely ready to compete week in, week out in a men's environment, but it definitely helped me because I was playing against men.
So you're 17, 18 years old, you're playing like youth academy football, like good level, but not really professional.
No, yeah.
You're integrating a little bit with the first team, at what point do you think I want to go to America on a scholarship?
I think I was probably around 17, but I've always loved like American sports and a lot of American culture. Like always liked the NBA, always liked college football, always liked NFL. So just as a general, I've really liked the idea of going to America for university. And the only way that could really happen was through a football scholarship. So I think around 17, 17, started looking into it online and stuff, and talked to my parents.
But was there a moment, because there'll be a lot of players that are like, oh, I would love to go to America, but they would never act on it.
Yeah.
So what was the moment where you were like, okay, I'm going to go and Google like agency or?
I think I'm always one to search stuff up, but it was still like not a reality. But it was after I sat down with my parents and spoke about it. They were like, yeah, we're gonna support you in this because it's not an easy process. I was kind of like, okay, let's go for it. And I went through an agency and they had maybe an induction day kind of thing. You go to a pitch, they give you a presentation, you go and play games, and they tell you whether they think you'd be a good fit. And after that day, they thought, yeah, you'd be a good fit for it. And I was like, okay, this can actually happen. I think I'm going to go for it.
Interesting, because there's a lot of players, or one of the questions that I always get is like, how did you get from Woking to North Carolina? So, and I used an agency, and my agency were really helpful, to be fair. What was your process like going from London to, where did you go? Merrimack?
Yeah, Merrimack.
How do you get from London, England to Merrimack? So you go to the induction day, you play, they say you're a good fit, then what happens? Do they make you a video, send you to coaches?
Yeah, so I did a bunch of match days to get video, to get highlights.
With the agency?
With the agency.
Because your club games weren't filmed?
Yeah, none of them were filmed, so I had no film, so I had to do maybe 3-4 games. They filmed the games, they made a little highlight tape, sent it off to schools. I actually remember in the beginning of the process, it was pretty funny. My dad was like, yeah, write down 25 schools you want to go to, and I'll send it to the agency. And I was like, oh, sweet, perfect. I was like, UCLA,
yeah, classic,
everyone, Stanford, I don't know, Wake Forest. Yeah, and they were just like, yeah, that's not happening. That was my first.
So they were honest with you. That's good.
Yeah, they were pretty honest. Yeah. And I think I've always had that delusion that I can go do that straight away or whatever. And yeah, they were like, yeah, it's not going to be that easy. And yeah, they sent my tapes off, and then I'd get a bunch of emails from completely different levels. No D1 offers, but it'd be NAIA, even I think
JUCO.
Yeah, is that NJCA or whatever, and D2, just a bunch of different offers from there. And academics was pretty important to me because I was going to go to university in England, so a lot of the schools talking to my parents, they were like, it's not going to be good for you, if football don't work out, don't think education's good enough. And it kind of took in the last couple of months, there was a period I thought I wasn't going to go, and maybe 2 months before I was supposed to leave, get an email from Merrimack, which was a decent D2 school, football-wise, academic-wise, that had plans to go D1. And I was kind of yeah, that's perfect for what I want, and yeah.
Because you were at Merrimack for 2 years?
Yeah, 1.5.
1.5?
Yeah.
And then you transferred to New Hampshire. So how was because you played 1 season of D2 and 1 season of D1 with Merrimack, right? How was your experience in Merrimack?
Loved it, to be fair. Obviously, completely different to London, had a culture shock.
Yeah, what was your culture shock like?
Culture shock was that I was in a tiny town, and the school
is it in New
had
Hampshire or Massachusetts, or where is it?
Massachusetts, yeah. It was maybe 40 minutes from Boston, but completely different to Boston. Don't know, 4,000 people at the school, so it was just tiny. Couldn't just go walk to shops and stuff like that, so complete culture shock with that, and just even just being in America and American banter or American people.
Did you have a lot of internationals on your team, or were you?
We did. So I think obviously you would know being part of a team helps that adjustment. You know what I mean? As soon as you get,
you can't really breathe. Training, school, games.
Your schedule's all planned out. Your friends are kind of bought in with the team, and everyone helps you get acclimatized to everything. So yeah, it was a culture shock for sure.
So what was the point where you wanted to transfer? Why did you want to transfer?
I think I think I always had aspirations, like, even so when I sent them, like, them 25 schools, and they were like, no chance. I was kind of thinking, okay, I'm going to have to go somewhere to then
Prove yourself.
Yeah, prove myself and then try and jump to the next level. And even when I was at school, my teammates encouraged me. They were like, get on the transfer portal, like, see what you can get. So I always had like a slight idea. Did the first season in Division 2, had a decent season, not crazy, but good for the level, and I knew I could play this level. That off season, I worked as hard as I could to like just improve like
What does that mean? Hard work. Like, what were you doing?
I mean, pretty much every day in spring semester, I would constantly call a keeper and be like, get out here and just shoot. Like, shoot, work on my technique, then go to the gym and work on my strength. So every day I was getting touches on the ball, mainly finishing and my touch and stuff like that. And then in the gym I was working on like my leg strength, my core.
But why were you doing that? Because there's a lot of players in the spring that are like, oof, this is easy. We're going to play 5 games. I'm going to go to parties. I'm going to drink. I'm going to socialise. I'm going to go to Boston every weekend.
Yeah.
Why were you different to the rest of the team?
I think 2 things was I'd never been in like Merrimack was the closest to a full-time environment I've been in, and it showed me a different way of training. Like before that, the most I'd ever trained was twice a week, and now we're doing like sessions every day. So then I kind of got used to that habit of training every day. Plus, I knew I wanted to go to the next level, and I knew that for me it's simple. Like, the only way to do that was to train harder, and like it also helped that there was nothing really to do in that area. So like my thing to do after classes was to go play, like go do finishing, and then go to the gym. So
so you're at Merrimack. You've had a good season. You're going to the gym. You're playing well. Why did you want to transfer?
Just aspirations that I wanted to go pro. I also wanted.
And you felt like a different school with the more prestige would be better for you.
Yeah, I thought if I can get on a bigger stage, it's going to help me. And also, everyone has this idea, Division 1's where I need to be, like, it's not necessarily always true, but I definitely bought into that idea and was like...
More eyes on you.
Yeah, more eyes. I want to be Division 1. I want to play in the nice facilities. I want the nice gear, all of that.
So how was your transfer process? Did you have those UCLA, Wake Forest, were they calling you? Or how was it?
Yeah, I had... So we did the D1 season. We finished first in regular season, so it was a good season, and I had quite a lot of good schools. Not all the ones I wanted, but quite a few good schools that were recruiting me. I was in contact with, and New Hampshire was one of them because they've been a top 20 team for a long time, and like they're established in like college soccer world. So yeah, I had a good recruitment process with like good high major, mid major schools, and yeah, landed on New Hampshire.
Why did you pick UNH?
I think it was the culture. Like, I went to do a visit. So how it first started, they actually emailed me, and I went to a game with a couple of the boys in Merrimack and just introduced myself to some of the coaches. And at first they were like, who is this kid? And then it was Chi who was recruiting me, and I went to, I think, like Nick, and I was like, literally just walked up to him and was like, I'm told her, like, Chi emailed me. He's just like, oh, okay. And then Chi got back to me later, and he was like, oh, like, I guess like that was a good thing to do, and like went on a visit, and I just liked the culture, and like Massachusetts and New Hampshire close. Like all the teams UNH play, Merrimack would play as well. So I knew I could play at that level. I knew they were top score. They also wanted me in for the spring. I knew if I came in for the spring and played well, that'd give me a better chance of starting. So it was kind of thing of, I liked the environment, kind of comfortable like with the region, and I think this will probably give me the best chance to like start games at that level. So I think it all
how was the difference in the environment from Merrimack to UNH? Because for people listening that don't really understand the context, at that time UNH, I think we were ranked like 5th in the country and like one of the top programs, consistently like top 10. And Merrimack was kind of like a low Division 1 school. It had just gone to Division 1 at that time. So it was obviously a very good program. Not a bad word to say about that program, but UNH was like an established powerhouse at that time.
Yeah.
So when you went to UNH and you were in that environment, how was it different to Merrimack?
I think the organisation, obviously there's better facilities, so like your gym programs are better, training sessions are better, and then in terms of player, I think like the base level was higher. Like I think D2, like you'll have really talented
Starting
players.
11 is really good.
Yeah,
It drops
yeah.
off. Yeah.
You'll have like 4 players who probably just as talented as like the UNH players, and then but I think like the base level was higher in terms of like
Consistency,
running,
basics,
strength, yeah, and like technique. Like,
Interesting.
yeah.
What do you think are the differences between a D2 player and a D1 player?
I think there's not too much in it except a D1 player might just be a bit more technical and a bit more athletic. But I think it's a really like personal thing because like, I don't know how many people on a roster, but like the differences between the best player and the worst player on a D1 roster is going to be a lot, and the best and worst on the D2 is going to be a lot as well. Like, don't know if you remember playing like Franklin Pierce in pre-season games, and like they always gave us a really hard game.
So when you say like the environment was different, and I think that's something like I'm really grateful for is being exposed to like that locker room with the coaches because for example like I played at a Division 2 school before I went to UNH, and it was quite disorganised and the level of players was okay, but when I went to UNH and I saw like Hubs and Chi, what they created in terms of the sessions, I was like, wow, like I am so much better at football now. Not because like I'm better physically or technically, but like tactically. The way that we played with the rotations with the video, I remember like 40, 50 minutes of video every day. And, like, at that point, you're like, Jesus, like I just want to get on the field and play. But looking back now, I'm like, that's why we were so good because we were so organised.
Yeah, I think it's similar to like a pro setup, like the way they treated training and video and analysis and the tactical side of the game. Like at half time, we would watch clips from the game, and that's something that the pros do, or just like the way they go about the week, or even like the sort of sessions we'll do in the style was like pro-like, and I think that definitely helped.
So your transition from UNH to the professional game, obviously you get drafted by Atlanta, they don't pick you up, so you go back to college. How was that process mentally for you?
I think that was a really tough period, like one of the toughest for me, because obviously you have the high of getting drafted, which is like, I don't know, every college soccer player's dream or whatever, and then like, it was one of my dreams, and then it doesn't go the way you want it to, and then you have to like hit back to earth and like pick yourself back up, especially when you have that name. It's like, oh, you're drafted, you're supposed to be this, supposed to be that, but then you just come back from a rejection of not being good enough for a level. So it was definitely tough, but like we said in the beginning, I'm still going to work hard regardless of the situation. Yeah.
So what happens when they tell you, Tola, we're not going to sign you? What's going on in your head?
For me, after I was there for a really long time, I think longer than I should have been if it was going to be a no. I was just like, okay, let me go back to New Hampshire where my friends are there, like the people I like are there, my partner was there at the time, like let me just go back to school and just like, be in an environment that I enjoy.
And did you feel like because you went back to use your last year of eligibility, was there a part of you that was, I know you as a character, so I know the answer is no, but was there a part of you in training that was like, I've just been training with Atlanta United, now I'm at UNH, this is shit, or?
I mean, no, but yes, like maybe in the back of your head, you're just like, all right, I've gone from being at Atlanta's training ground to being on the track playing futsal. So obviously you have that, but it's not like, I think we had a really good team. Like I rate the players, so it's not like I have to train with these guys who I don't think are good enough. I think they're good enough, but then you might have those thoughts in the back of your mind that I was training with like some guys playing on a national team or like a DP in MLS, and now I'm like just back at UNH, but didn't really have those.
And you go from that to then signing at Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
So I had to do a combine to get into pre-season. So I did that combine, got through that, got invited back to pre-season. I think did maybe 2-3 weeks in pre-season and got signed after that. But that was also like one of those moments where I was like, all right, if this is really what you want to do, like be pro, you have to get into this team. Like,
Yeah, because there'll be a lot of people listening to this. Oh, that sounds really easy. You were a good college soccer player, so you had a good resume. You signed up for a combine. You went to the combine and you did well in training. Like, that's easy. Why can't I do that? Why can't someone else do what you did?
I think self-believing again, like, at that moment I was like, I didn't have any other trial. I had this combine to get into pre-season, so I was like, the only way I'm going to go pro is if I get into this combine, do well, get into pre-season, do well and get a contract. I was like, this is the only option. I didn't even think of like, what if this fails? I was like, this literally has to work because there is no other option.
But how do you manage your mindset there? Because there'll be a lot of players who think the same, that put a lot of pressure on themselves. They go to the pitch and they have a bad touch or a bad finish. They really struggle. So how do you put that pressure on yourself and perform rather than put that pressure on yourself and crumble?
I think, so even in the combine, I played well, but I don't think I played 100%. But one thing I did do was work really hard. I scored some goals, but not as many as I wanted to. But what I did was I ran really hard. I'm a striker. When it came to pressing, I made sure I pressed well. I think make sure you're doing the basics right, and then start to show yourself more and more. And that's what I try to do. And I think it worked for me, but I also think football is a ruthless industry. There's not many second chances. We all love football, but it's not like a soft industry. So you kind of have to have that mindset if you want to make it.
So how did you get invited to the combine? Because there'll be a lot of players listening to this that think, okay, there's a combine at Pittsburgh. It's $250. I know there's ID camps for pro clubs. It's $250 to sign up or something, and you just have to find it on Instagram or online. How did you get invited to that combine?
That was through my agent at the time. Probably had a connection with Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh probably look at some of the better college soccer players who maybe don't have a club and invite them down and stuff.
So yeah. I want to talk about having an agent because I think it's important. That's something that I really regret. I played college and I thought, I was like, okay, I'm going to get something here. If I don't get drafted, it's going to be easy to pick up a USL contract because I had a good college soccer season and I thought it would be easy, and I did the process completely blind. I had no help at all, and that's something that I really regret and struggled with. I went to that Pittsburgh combine.
Was it?
Not your one, the year before, because I graduated the year before you.
Okay.
With who's the coach? Joe Lilly? Is it?
Bob Lilly.
Bob Lilly, yeah, crazy guy. I remember crazy guy, really good coach. And I remember not having an agent, and looking back now, that's something that I wish I did. How important was having an agent for you?
I think it's pretty important because I think, as you know now, football is a connection-based sport. If you don't have the connections, you're not going to get into the right places, and that's for any level really. So yeah, I do think it was important.
So what was your relationship like with your agent? Because there'll be a lot of players that listen to this okay, I need to get an agent. I'm going to go on Google, find an agent, $5,000, $6,000, and I'm going to pick whoever.
Yeah.
Why should I, if I'm working with an agency or an agent, why should I pick them? From your experience with agents, what's been good characteristics of an agent?
I think it all comes down to your personal feel with that agent, but you have to have the trust there. If you can sense something shady or not right, or something that goes against your character, more times than not, you're probably right about it.
So how do I find that out? What questions should I be asking the agent, or what research should I be doing?
I think you should maybe go if I'm talking to an agent, I'm going to look at their clientele and the players they have and think, are these players who are playing the level I want to play, or these players who are playing the level that I'm at? There's no point joining an agency that is maybe either too high for what you think you can play or not at the level. And then you just want to build a relationship. Like we said, it's a connection sport. You want to have a relationship with your agent where I feel if you feel you can't ask your agent the questions that are important to you, hey, have you heard anything from this club? What clubs are you speaking to? What people in the club are you speaking to? If you feel you can't ask those questions to your agent, then there's probably a bad sign. But for me personally, a biggest indicator would be like, who do they have? Like, what players do they have, and what connections do they have? Like, if I'm trying to get a club in America and all my like agents' players are in Germany, like, it's probably going to be harder to find a club in America because these connections aren't based there.
So your jump from the USL to the Football League, I remember seeing that and I was like, that's mental. You did it completely quietly. I remember I saw something from Crawley. I was like, what the fuck? Tola, you did that? I was like, wow. I wasn't expecting that. How did that happen?
Yeah, it was a kind of crazy one. I wasn't expecting it too. Really just got a message from my agent like, do you want to play League One in England? I'm like, yeah, of course.
Really?
And yeah, they just started having conversations with Crawley, with Louisville, and it was actually a pretty tough process. Like, went to England, had to come back to America. Deal wasn't completely done. Like, medical stuff and all this, and like maybe after 3-4 weeks got the deal done, and I was
so it's interesting because I think there's been like a big uptake in transfers in the USL recently. I know like one guy went to Benfica, there was a guy at the Charleston Battery. I mean, Louisville have a great program. You were at Louisville at the time, and there's a lot of clubs obviously looking at that setup. So and for someone that's like trying to understand and figure out the level, like, oh yeah, he went to League One in England, but like that's third division in England, like that's a massive level. So what, your agent just texts you one day, says, hey, this club is interested. So your agent was talking to them, or the club asked your agent, hey, have you got a striker? Or
I reckon Crawley reached out to my agency, not completely sure, but we had American owners at the time.
Right.
They brought in a player from Charleston. He's Jeremy Kelly. He came from either like Memphis or Tulsa to England, did really well. So I think that like made him pick up their recruiting in USL. But like, this is a like.
But were you? Because I'm just trying to think, like, from your perspective, you were probably thinking League One. I don't know if I'm ever going to get that in my career. So you were probably jumping at the bit. But for some part, were you not like Louisville was probably the best USL setup in the US? Were you kind of in limbo as what to do, or did you know that it was the right move for you?
I was a tiny bit in limbo, but I think I was like, I want to do it first because am I going to get the opportunity to play League One again? I don't know. And here's the opportunity. I'd been in America for 6 years, and I'm from England. Like, I wouldn't mind being back home, and I feel like you know as well. Like, growing up in England, like playing in the EFL is a dream that people have, and like I was never in academy, never even tried with an academy. So the chance to play EFL was too good to pass up on. But yeah, I really did like Louisville's environment. Like, I really did enjoy it. So I was like, I am going to miss somewhere where like I'm really enjoying my football, and I felt I was progressing. But I think when you get an opportunity that you feel like you can't pass up.
Were you surprised when your agent texted you?
Yeah, I was surprised. It kind of came out of nowhere. I definitely was surprised, but yeah, after he told me, I'm like, yeah, let's do it.
So how was the? I'm like curious to know actually, how was the transition from the USL to League One? Because completely different style of football, completely different locker room, dressing room. And you're from England, so you're probably thinking, oh, this will be like going home, be with my mates and banner and all of this. How was your transition from the USL Championship to League One?
Yeah, I think it's like night and day in terms of like everything, like football, off the pitch, changing rooms, everything. I think also not being in the academy system, I didn't really get to see it. I think when you play in the EFL, you see a different level of competitiveness that you're obviously very competitive in USL, but I think you see the nature of football on and off the pitch.
It's interesting that you say that, because I've been speaking on the podcast recently with people in England, and I've been living in the US for 7 years, so I've been a bit out of touch with kind of the football league and people, and I was never involved in an academy, so I'm talking to people that have had like 200, 300, 400 EFL appearances, and they're talking to me about like mindset and ruthlessness. And, you know, you have to go into training wanting that person's shirt, whereas in America, in the college system, it's like you have a squad of 30, 15 are in the squad, the last 15 are there just to fill up the team. And then in the USL, I mean, I've not been involved in any of those setups, but if you get relegated, if you finish bottom of the league, it doesn't matter. Nothing's going to happen to you. Whereas in England, mortgage, kids, 1 year contract, fighting for things. How was the environment in the dressing room in England, in the English Football League?
I think it's a good environment, but it's a tough environment.
Why is it tough?
I think it could eat you up if you let it.
What?
You said, like relegation, people are fighting for spots, people are fighting to feed their families pretty much, you know what I mean? Like, I think when you grow up in the English football system, it's really, really hard to make it. So you have to have, you do have to be selfish, you do have to have your own back. I'm not saying that's not the same in the USL, but I think I could feel it more where it's like, everyone's trying to play for a shirt, everyone's trying to get into that 11, and...
Did you ever feel at some point like overwhelmed or like...
I don't think overwhelmed, because I think this is what football is. Like, if you're overwhelmed, then it's
You're
just
gonna struggle.
Yeah, I feel like just within you, you have to know, like, when I get my chance, I'm going to be ready, like, regardless of what is going on.
Is it difficult to make friends in England in the locker room?
No, I wouldn't say so. I think people are friendly, but it's also a job. So yeah.
For someone that doesn't understand that, can you explain, like, football is a job when you're a pro, and like, what does that mean? How does that feel?
It's more like the consequences of a game directly impact your life, you know what I mean? Like, a bad training session could mean you're out of 11. Bad game could mean you're out the squad.
And that revolves around how much you're going to get paid.
Yeah, that could even be like your bonuses. You can't get your bonuses, or say you're looking to get a move and like you're playing bad games, like that team might not be interested anymore. So it turns from less of a, oh well, like, you know, stuff happens, like, to like, can't really afford for that.
And let's say that you are going through a rough patch as a footballer, right? Let's say in the college, in Division 1, you've got Chi, you've got Hubs, you've got Nick, you've got other players. You can go and talk to a coach and say, hey coach, I'm struggling to get in the team. And they're like, you know what, they comfort you, they support you.
Yeah.
In the pro game, do you like, how important is the relationship with the manager and the coaching staff if you're going through a rough patch? Like,
yeah, I think it's important, like, to keep communicating with the coaches. I think they appreciate that, and I think you'll benefit from it. I think it's important.
And how is the difference in, this is interesting, the coaching style from NCAA to professional soccer in England? Because in England, obviously, it's like Saturday, Tuesday, you have to win to stay in the league or to get promoted. In NCAA, you have conference games, you have non-conference games. If you're doing well, you go around next year, you're freshman, sophomore, you've got 4 years to compete. How is the difference in like results-based or like the locker room from the coaching staff?
Between like NCAA and USL, or?
NCAA and England.
In England.
Like what you're now in the English professional setup versus how it was at New Hampshire.
Right, so ask that question one more time.
Right, so you are playing for Hubs and Chi at UNH, right? And you're obviously very focused on winning and results-based, but the season's 3 months, and then you've got the rest of the spring to do whatever. In England, the coaching, they are wanting to win every game, and it's very, like, I don't know, toxic or no, not toxic. I'm saying what? How is the coaching style different in the NCAA versus England?
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I think it's more results driven, just because, like, it never happened with us. But say Hubs leaves 5 games on the bounce, his job is protected. Like, we're not gonna lose our job. We don't have jobs, you know what I mean? So you don't have that stress, whereas in England you see managers get sacked really quickly, so then they have that pressure, they've got the pressure from maybe the sporting director, the owners, like the NCAA, you don't have the same sort of pressure, so I think it makes it more results-based, but I do think every manager has their different personality and their different approach. So I think overall, in England, it's more results driven, but sometimes that makes a manager more calmer. Like, he doesn't want to stress the players out, and sometimes it makes him more like agitated. So I think for every manager, it's different.
What are the negatives of being a professional footballer that no one really talks about? Because there might be a lot of people, a lot of players that are like, I want to be a pro in England because I'm going to make loads of money, I'm going to have all these girls in my DMs, going to have a nice watch, nice car. And I've been talking to professionals, and they say that's like not, if you're in the Premier League, yeah, but if you're not in the Premier League, it's not like that.
Yeah.
What are the negatives of being a professional that people don't really think about?
maybe like to start with, maybe like the assumptions, like all the assumptions you just made, like you're gonna always get those assumptions, and then it's not necessarily true. Like after football, for most people, maybe from the championship it's different, or like doing really well in League One it's different. But you're gonna have to get a job. Like after football, like you have to think about life afterwards. So there's those assumptions. I think how mentally tough it is. I think like if you have a bad game or going through a bad patch, I feel like you can see how it really affects everyone around you, because they want you to do well. You know, like say if something goes wrong in your job, it's like, and this might be an assumption as well, if something goes wrong in your job, it's not like as highlighted. Like if I have a bad game, my parents are watching, you know what I mean? You're getting criticism and advice from everyone and people who don't know football. So people who don't know football watching your game telling you you did this wrong or you need to do this, when it's like, mate, you can't play. And it's not.
Do you
like,
listen to that, like on Twitter or on Instagram or?
I mean, you try not to listen to it, but you're just gonna get it. Like you can hear it from fans in the stands. You could be leaving the stadium, you could hear it. You could just be having a normal conversation, and someone's like, "Oh yeah, I watched your game," or it could be a friend. And like, it's not that people have bad intentions with this, but it's just like no one's going to your job and telling you you're doing this wrong because I don't know your industry. You know what I mean? Whereas football is pretty open.
How do you deal with that?
I think you just got to put it to one side. Like, I know whose opinions matter to me, and those opinions I'll listen to. Everyone else's, just take it with a pinch of salt and kind of move on. I mean, like, look at any player. You look at the Premier League players, they have a good game, they're getting all the praise in the world. They have a bad game and they're getting trashed by fans, and they're at the top of their sport. So if the best players in the world can get it, like anyone can get it, and it's not something you should really focus on.
I feel like in your career, for the point that you've got to and your success, I feel like a lot of it's been about your mindset, focusing on yourself, being disciplined, taking opportunities, and not really worrying about what other people think. How important do you think your mindset's been in your football career?
I think it's everything, because like you said, there's a lot of pressure, and it's easy to get like overwhelmed by it. It's really easy, and it happens to me, it happens to every player, but you literally just have to be able to find a way to deal with it. Like, and I think I back myself as a player, so even in a tough time, I feel like I know what I can do on a football pitch, and I'm like happy with that. I think I know if I like get opportunities, I know what I can do, and ultimately, if I keep working hard, it will end up good.
If I'm a young player listening to this and I'm thinking, oh God, Tola's got such a good mindset, he's really confident and always, but I'm not having a good season this year, I'm doubting myself, I'm not confident, I really want to have a strong mindset, but I don't know how to get it. What's your advice?
I think I've had plenty of bad seasons, but I think, and not in an arrogant way, but I think you should always have this like self-belief, even when things aren't going good. Like, I don't know, you could look at Dembele, who's just won the Ballon d'Or. Like, all the injuries he's had, he's been written off by people, but he's obviously still backed himself to be the best player in the world, and he's gone and proved that. I think if you know you've done a certain amount of work, you can always have faith. And like, football is like a sport where like it's not just technical. Like, athleticism really counts. Like, after every game, even at college level, they've got the GPS in you, and they're tracking your distance, your sprints, your accelerations, your high-speed running. If you can tick those boxes as well, especially in the game replay, you always have a chance. So I think if you're training really hard, doing the right things, that's all you can do. Like, all I can do is try my best, and that's it. Like, and the rest, like, I have faith, so I believe in God. So I feel like that bit's up to God, but all I can do is like work as hard as I can, and whatever happens, I'm happy with that.
Why do you think that clubs are interested in you as a footballer? I'm talking about like your strengths as a striker. Why do you think clubs want you as their number 9?
I think profile has a lot to do with it. I'm tall, I'm strong, I'm a good runner, and I can score goals. So I think that's why I think as a striker you have to be able to score. I can hold up the ball. You have to be able to hold up the ball, and you have to be able to defend.
How is the difference in football between the USL and the English Football League?
I think it's an interesting one because I get this question a lot, but I feel like it's sometimes hard to tell. I would say like England's a lot more physical.
Interesting, because everyone says that, but what do you mean?
Yeah.
What do you mean
I
by
feel like
England's a lot more
everyone says
physical?
that. Yeah. I think just the amount of duels you have in England is way more.
Like
more,
headers and
like
what?
yeah, 1v1 duels, headers, 1v1 tackles is a lot more than you'd have in America. And I think the levels I've played, there's a couple more talented players on each team than in America I've seen. Like there's some players in England that are really like.
They get the ball and it makes something happen.
Yeah, get the ball and really make something happen. There's obviously that in America and in the teams I played for especially, but I think I've noticed it more in England.
Mm. Is there... Because the USL is 8-month season?
Yeah, 8-9 months.
How would you compare the travel scheduling component in the USL than in...
That's another thing that I haven't said, but I think in like an EFL season you play like 46 league games plus you're in 3 cups. So the amount of games is loads more. So like your body has to be right because you're going Saturday, Tuesday, like quite a lot, way more than America. So that's more for your last question. There's also that part of it.
And how important is recovery and taking care of your body? Because I know in college you've got, Saturday, Wednesday, it's pretty full on, but it's only 3 months.
Yeah.
You've obviously got your athletic trainers and stuff. Since you went from the college game to the pro game, have you noticed that you need to take care of your body more? Because I know you had your knee problem, didn't you?
Yeah, 100%. I think it's really, really important to take care of your body.
Everyone says that, but why?
Because the older you get, the more likely you are to start feeling your joints and stuff like that. And like when you play pro, it's constant demand. Like the demand is constant. If your body is not ready for that, how can you perform at the highest level if you're aching and if you haven't done everything to recover? I'm definitely not perfect, but I definitely think it's important.
So what do you do to put your body in the best condition?
So for me, it'll be things like ice baths as regularly as I can, and then every day foam rolling. I'll get like a lacrosse ball, like hit trigger points, like try stretch once or twice a day. I'll get on a massage bed, try and get as much treatment as possible. Those are things I go with. At Louisville, they had like a nice setup where you had access to like a health and wellness centre where you could do a lot of treatments like cryotherapy. Like
what are the biggest differences in facilities in the US? I mean, Louisville is like an MLS club, so I'm sure that they have a great setup. What are the facilities like from your experience in the USL compared to in England?
I think that again, there's such a wide variety of setups that it's hard to say. So I'll start with like in college at New Hampshire, we're playing in front of maybe like 5,000. That's very similar or maybe more to what I play in front of in Crawley. So that like we're talking NCAA to like a team that was in League One. But I think every team's different. I think at Louisville they had like a really, really good setup that I think their training ground would be better than most League One and League Two teams. But then there's some league, like when we're in League One, Birmingham in there, Reading are in there, Charlton was in there, they will have amazing setups. So I think from team to team it changes, but I think overall when you look at like some of like the universities in America and like you've got like UNC, Clemson, all of those, like you look at their facilities, I think from a younger age it's higher.
Is there anything you miss about America?
Yeah, I like the culture, like that from state to state it can change so much. Like you can be on the West Coast and like in California you go East Coast, you go to like New York, Boston, and you've got like Florida and Miami. I just think there's so much like
variety of culture and different things.
Yeah, different things. So you go like, I don't know, like Utah or like Midwest, and you can like ski on the mountains and stuff like that. So did
you have another culture shock coming back to England?
I wouldn't say complete culture shock, but I think from not growing up in an academy, more like a football culture shock to the reality of English football.
Why?
Just because I never was in it. Like,
but what was the culture shock? What's an example?
Just literally just like everyday things. So like, you know, like a loop, for example, like in America, you get a loop, you put all your stuff there. Like there's no loops in England. Like they'll give you a towel and your training kit, and then like everyone's socks and boxes will be together, and you'll just go and grab that. Like even a little thing like that, I'm just used to having my own loop with my own stuff on it. Whereas here it's all separate, or maybe just like initiation stuff like
in the locker room, like terminology of football terms.
Football terms. Banter in the locker room, like initiations, just really, really small stuff, or like what people are eating, or like I remember like being like on a match, I'm like, where are jerseys? And people are laughing because it's a shirt.
You
just
say cleats and not boots, and shin guards, not shin pads.
I never went that far, but I got caught out with some stuff like that. So it's literally just like.
You know what I said the other day? I said downtown. I said downtown Bournemouth, and then they were like, what are you talking about? I was like, fuck, I need to get cultured again.
Literally, little stuff like that.
Yeah, funny. Okay, well, Tola, I want to talk about for a player that's listening to this, that's wanting to go pro in the US, right? Because there's a lot of players listening to this that will be like, wow, he went from NCAA Division 2 to Division 1 to the USL. For a player that is wanting to go from college to pro, what's your advice? How does it work? How do I do it?
I think you really have to push for it. I don't think anyone's going to do it for you. I think having the right connection is important. Like, having the right connections and really pushing for it, like, not taking no for an answer. Obviously, sometimes it's not going to work out, but I think you have to be really adamant. I think, like, after I got drafted at Atlanta, if I didn't care, it was, like, easily I could have never played pro. If I didn't really push for it and having the right connections. I think...
What does push for it mean? Because there might be a lot of people that are like, I'm pushing for it. What do you mean?
I mean, just constantly bugging your coaches, like, if they have any pro connections, constantly bugging them to help you get trials, like reaching out to any people you know who could help you, you know, having the uncomfortable conversations, like conversations you don't really want to have, but you know in the long run could help you. That's like off a pitch, and then on the pitch, I just think not overdoing it, but just giving it your all. Like I feel like everyone knows when like they've emptied their tank. Like I feel like that's different to everyone, but you'll know when you've got to that point and just put in everything you can into it.
Do you think people underestimate how hard it is to go from Division 1 to pro?
Yeah, I think so.
Why?
I don't know about underestimate, but I don't know the statistics, but I know the statistics is really low, and that like sums it up for you. Like majority of Division 1 players aren't gonna play pro, and that's the reality. And so for that reason, people might not think it's as hard as it is, but it is hard. But there's also many cases of players doing really well, better than me, going Premier League. Like you got Bombi playing for Nice. Like there's examples of players doing like things that are virtually impossible, and I think your mindset has to be that I'm going to be one of those guys.
How did you become a successful college soccer player in New Hampshire? Because I know, like when we played together, we had like 4 strikers. We had you, Vic, Paul, I think Eli, Gouldy.
Yeah.
If you're in a college soccer team and there's like 4 or 5 other strikers, or 4 or 5 other players in your position, how do you stay motivated and get your starting spot?
I think that comes again with a mentality. If you play on a good team, you have to know there's going to be other good players. Like you can't be scared that, like all those players you just mentioned are really good players who scored goals at that level, like really good players. But for me, I took it as like, okay, it makes sense that my competition are all really good players, and I'm just gonna have to try and be the best. Like, that's also backing yourself, but you have to be able to admit and acknowledge you're not gonna start a game by luck. Like, it's not gonna be like, oh, like the coach just like for no reasons playing me because he likes me or something. No, there's gonna be a reason. You have to be able to admit, like, yeah, I have good competition, but I'll be better, man.
You mentioned at the start of the podcast that there were a few points in your career where you thought it was going to be impossible to be a pro. What are those points?
I think maybe from 15 to maybe 14 to 17, not playing for an academy. I'm like, I haven't got a scholarship. I'm not looking to get a pro, so I'm like, I don't know if I can make it. Maybe first season in Merrimack, wasn't thinking. I actually remember when I first went out to America, my dad was like, we're doing this so you can go pro. And I'm just like, what's he talking about? How's he just going to put all that pressure on me? Like, I wasn't thinking about going pro at that time. So maybe first season in Merrimack, maybe after Atlanta I had doubts, but I still backed myself. So I think, yeah. Which coaches have the biggest influence on your career? I'll give two coaches. I'll give Hubs and obviously Chi, like that coaching staff, because they gave me the chance, because I was at a small Division 1 school. They took me to like a big stage, and they let me play, they let me express myself, they let me play how I wanted to play. And I feel like, as well, being at UNH, like, they kind of let you play how you want to play, they let you express yourself. So I like really thank them for that, and also like how chill he was. Because I think that helps with the pressure when your coach is chill and not screaming at you and stuff like that. And then I'll give Danny Cruz at Louisville and their coaching staff, because I think I progressed a lot as a player and as a professional. For the short time I was there, I feel like it really helped me, like all the coaching staff there, and like, yeah, the trust. Just trusting the player, and I feel like at those two places I felt really trusted by the coaching staff.
How would you compare that UNH team to, if that UNH team went and played Louisville, what would the score be, and how would the game go?
I think it would be like, obviously a rough guess, but I'm gonna go like a 4-1.
You think that was a big difference in the level?
Yeah.
Why?
And I'll go because I think the way they train at Louisville, the mentality is just like spot on. Like,
really?
They train you to.
So you think that's the difference in environment between college and USL?
Yeah. I don't think it's a talent, but I think if both teams were playing like serious like league game,
like a cup final, or
a cup final. But I feel like finals are a bit different, because anything can happen. A league game, I think it would be like maybe 4-1, 3-1, but not to do with more talent, but to do with more like the competitiveness and also like the athleticism of the Louisville players.
Interesting. So if I'm a Division 1 player and I'm going for a trial at Louisville and I hear that, okay, it's going to be more intense, it's going to be more quick. How do I get ready for a trial at a USL club?
As I think you should be running a lot, but conditioned runs, like interval running, like start, stop, because that's what football is. Not like just doing a 5K or something, like more like a beat test kind of things. And interval running, I think work on your basics, like technique. Like, I feel like a really important thing that people don't talk about is not losing the ball. If you lose the ball, like, it's hard for a team to want you. Like, if you're not efficient with the ball, I think if you're able to keep the ball and do the basics, you're always going to have a chance, because you're not hurting the team, you're just keeping the play moving. So if you work on your first touch, your passing, stuff like that, and I think in general also just working on your weakness. Whatever like your glaring weaknesses, if you can get that to an average level, you'll be a more complete player. So I think working on those things, would help.
Tola, I've got 5 quick fire questions for you, just to finish off. First one is the favourite goal you've ever scored.
Go Charlton away.
That's amazing. Toughest defender you've ever faced.
I'll go. I haven't got a name, but we played Burnham City at home and both centre backs, so good.
Go to pre-match meal.
I go pancakes and then I'll do a bit of pasta and tomato sauce.
With pancakes?
No, so I have my pancakes. No, I have my pancakes first, like 3-4 pancakes, syrup, and then I'll just have like a little bowl of pasta.
Interesting. Dream club to play for?
That's the Arsenal.
Arsenal, I was about to say that.
Yeah.
And then lastly, one piece of advice you'd give to your younger self?
Keep dreaming big. Yeah. Keep believing and keep dreaming. That's about it.
And just lastly, for a player that's listening to this that's 16, 17, that really appreciates your story, that wants to do the same thing as you, what advice do you give to that player?
I think...
What's the roadmap to success like you?
I don't think there is a roadmap. I think it's knowing you giving your all and just giving your all and training as hard as possible, but in a smart, efficient way. Sometimes I think about, like, say if you went down to like UNH to like talk to like the kids now, or like when it happened when I was at UNH, when like someone who I like respected came in, I would think, wow, what a player. I'd love to have a career like him, but I'd also think I can be better than him. Like, I would respect him, but I'd also be like, I can do what they did, and I think I could do it better. So I feel like you have to have a belief. Like, you're not gonna become a pro by accident. You're gonna become a pro because you're good enough to become a pro. So you have to believe that, one, and then you also have to put the work in. And sometimes it doesn't pan out, but that's all you can do.
At what point do you think you're overconfident and delusional? Because you could give that advice to a player, right?
Yeah.
That is playing for his high school, not even playing MLS or ECNL, or plays D3 on an NAIA JUCO, and they think, okay, I really want to be a pro. I'm going to really work hard and believe in myself. At what point do you know whether you're good enough or not?
I think football's a subjective game. Like I'm saying all of this, but I still went to university. I still got my degree, so I still had my backup option. So I don't think you should be like completely delusional or not prepare for if things don't work out, because I did that. I still backed myself, and I definitely did that. But I think you've seen players go from high school to like MLS and stuff like that. So it's not impossible. So you have to believe, but having backups is not like a cop-out or like realising, like say I was like, okay, I want to go to these top 20 D1 schools. They're like, no, you can't. I was like, okay, so what are my alternatives? And I'll work from there, prove myself at that level, and when I feel I'm ready for the jump, I'll go for it. So it's not like, you're not just going to jump like to the level you want to be at. You have to prove yourself at other levels first. So it's delusion, but it's like reassured, like backed up. Like you're like, okay, I played at this level, I was good enough for it, let me test myself for the next, and
Amazing.
Keep doing that. Yeah,
amazing, really good. Guys, if you learned something, or if there's an interesting topic or something that he said that you're interested in, shoot him a message. But yeah, that's mad, Tola. I can't believe you're here and we're here right now.
Yeah,
crazy,
good to catch
crazy
up,
everything.
right? Yeah.
But that was a really good episode. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. No worries, right?